Chain Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QNReview. That is @CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION@CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 5th of March 2026. From the news section, East Kilbride Labour MP Joanne Reid resigns after husband arrested, by Laura Pollock. East Kilbride Labour MP Joanne Reid has resigned the Labour whip after her husband was arrested on suspicion of spying for China. David Taylor, the husband of East Kilbride and Straven MP Reid, and two other men were arrested by counter-terrorism officers at addresses in London and Wales. Taylor is accused of assisting a foreign intelligence service, which he denies. As Reid released her statement, reports broke stating she had been suspended from the party while an internal investigation takes place. A Labour Party spokesperson said, Joanne Reid has agreed to fully cooperate with the Labour Party's investigation into these matters. In a statement, the now independent MP said, "This week has been the worst of my life. The shock of recent days has been difficult for me and my family. I want to reiterate something very important. I am not under investigation by the police and no accusations have been against me. I have done nothing wrong. I love my country. To serve the people of East Kilbride and Straven as their MP and the Labour Party has been, and continues to be, the privilege of my life. I understand that speculation and gossip is feared at a time like this. I do not want the circumstances that I and my family find ourselves in to be a distraction for this government, of which I am proud and in whom I believe." She added, "I also do not want my children, who have nothing to answer for and to deserve privacy and compassion, to find themselves subject to intrusion. Following discussions with the Chief Whip, I am voluntarily suspending myself from the whip this evening and will not sit as a Labour MP until internal investigations are concluded. I will welcome and cooperate with any questions and worries the party may have. I and my team will continue to serve my constituents in the normal way as their Member of Parliament." Reid is the granddaughter of trade unionist Jimmy Reid and served as a councillor in Lewisham, South London for 8 years before becoming an MP. That article was written by Laura Pollock and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 5th of March 2026. From the news section, over 300 Scots trapped in Dubai land home safely in Edinburgh Airport, by Amy Miles. Hundreds of Scots have arrived home safely after being stranded in Dubai. More than 300 people landed in Edinburgh last night after several days of travel disruption caused by attacks from Iranian forces. Many of the passengers shared emotional accounts of their experiences abroad, and they told the ordeal took on them and their loved ones. Victoria Cameron, 57, who lives in Larkhall, said, "I thought it was a firework. Then we saw the second one and the third one and we started screaming and the whole hotel staff said, 'Run, run, run!' I was on the phone with my husband saying, 'We're under fire,' and they led us away. The phones were going, we were shaking and we were crying. I'm from South Africa and I'm not scared of anything. We're used to stuff, but I thought I was a goner on Saturday night." Her husband Brian, 59, had been desperately considering ways to reach her in Dubai. He recalled, "I'd come up with all sorts of plans to drive there, just to be with her. I didn't like her being on her own. The relief is just, I can't put it into words." Passengers described scenes of fear and confusion during the missile strikes, which prompted emergency protocols at hotels and nearby areas. Jack Crow, 26, owner of Borders Competitions, said, "I think when it first hit for me was we were on the Palm and our balcony overlooked inland and a jet flew over. I ran out to film it and was following the jet, and then there was a massive explosion. I was like, what the hell was that?" Holidaymakers Fiona Shearer, 45, and Lynn Buttercase, 49, said they felt on edge throughout the initial hours of the attack. Fiona shared, "The Saturday was obviously horrendous. We were all really on edge because you could still hear the explosions in the sky and things. We heard the airport explosion and then these phone alerts went off." Lynn added, "In the basement of our hotel they made bunkers and underground garages, so everyone slept with their clothes on, with their grab bag, passports, and had our phones fully charged." Despite the intense initial fear, Fiona said Dubai quickly regained a sense of order. She said, "For the rest of the time we were there, it was so quickly brought under control. In Dubai, everyone was quite calm. We were worried about not being able to get home, but certainly where we were, everybody felt quite calm." The group safely returned home via the Emirates airline. Many arrivals were greeted by family members in emotional reunions. Kevin McLean, who landed at Edinburgh Airport and was embraced by his waiting family, said he felt chuffed to bits to be home. He said, "I wasn't quite near it. I was speaking to a couple on the flight who were stuck in a basement in a hotel. In a way, I'm quite lucky because we didn't have to do that. You just don't know how long it's going to take to actually get back." Among those stranded was Graham Souness, former Rangers and Scotland captain, who was in the region when the US and Israel launched an attack on Iranian targets. The football pundit had been hoping to watch the Old Firm derby between the Rangers and Celtic. He said, "We're hearing some pretty loud bangs going off, and that is anti-missile taking out missiles that have been fired at some American base." That article was written by Amy Miles and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 5th of March 2026, news. Roof of 116-year-old Dumbarton Church caves in. Report by Emily Moore. The roof of a 116-year-old church caved in this week, prompting an emergency response. Work is now ongoing to make the former Dumbarton Free High Church safe after police closed Latter Street in the town on Monday, March 2nd. At around 4 p.m, the roof structure close to the bell tower appeared to have fallen, with evident damage to the tiling and tower. The road was shut by police as authorities assessed the safety of the building and effect on nearby residents. Police Scotland did not report any injuries. A picture taken on Tuesday night showed further work being undertaken on the building. The Free Church of Scotland confirmed that the building was sold by auction in April 2025 and is no longer owned by them. The congregation was moved to the West Kirk at West Bridge End. A spokesperson for the congregation said, "From 1908 until 2024, this building served as our meeting place, and, while it's sad to see its inevitable demise, we know that the church is bigger than any building. Grateful to have the opportunity to meet at the West Kirk." West Dumbartonshire Council said they were made aware of the building and have assisted current owners to resolve any immediate risk. In addition, they say they will continue to offer assistance to the owners. A spokesperson said, "We were made aware of an unsafe building on Monday and worked with the owner to resolve the immediate risk. Any subsequent work will now be carried out by the owner. The Council's Building Standards team remain available to provide advice where required." Police Scotland would not confirm whether they were still on site or when they reopened the road. That article was written by Emily Moore and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday, 5th of March 2026, from the news section. Scottish postie assaulted as Royal Mail delivery is suspended. Article written by Jack Thompson. Royal Mail has suspended the delivery of mail to a number of streets in Bishopton after a postie was assaulted on his rounds. Police Scotland has launched an investigation into an incident which happened in the village's Carrick Road on Wednesday, February 25th. Residents of the address, as well as Craighead Road, Almond Drive, Codder Crescent, Morar Crescent, Yarrow Crescent, Teviot Drive and Ettrick Drive, have been told their post can be collected at Erskine Delivery Office in Rashilee Avenue for the time being. A letter, which has been signed by the Customer Operations Manager and distributed to those affected, described a serious incident of abuse towards a member of staff on the day in question last week. It explained the risk associated with delivering to these properties was now unacceptably high because of the threat of further customer abuse, before confirming the matter had been reported to police to conduct inquiries. The Royal Mail will be working with the police, and as part of that, we will consider what needs to be done to ensure we can safely resume deliveries to your addresses as soon as possible, the note said. It added, I hope you can understand that this exceptional step has been taken in order to safeguard Royal Mail employees. A Royal Mail spokesperson said, the well-being of our colleagues is our highest priority, and we will take the necessary steps to ensure their safety at work. It has been advised anyone unable to collect post from the delivery office should get in touch with the Royal Mail to make alternative arrangements until it can resume deliveries. Councillor James McLaren, a Conservative representative for Bishopton, confirmed he has been approached by a number of constituents about the situation. He added, I would have liked to have seen the Royal Mail contacting the councillors to let them know what's happening, instead of us having to learn about it third hand and being left in the dark about it. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, inquiries are ongoing following a report of a man assaulted on Carrick Road, Bishopton on Wednesday, February 25th. That article was written by Jack Thompson and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 8th of March 2026, from the news section. Glasgow taxi drivers 2-week ban after aggression. Report by Drew Sandilands. A Glasgow taxi driver has been given a 2-week ban after passengers said he claimed his meter was broken and demanded a fixed price. Complaints to Glasgow City Council's Taxi and Private Hire Enforcement Unit said Mohammed Rashid became aggressive when the customers asked to get out of his taxi. The driver told the city's licensing committee that he had forgotten to put his meter on and asked for a £6 minimum fee. He then decided it wasn't worth it and let the passengers out, he added. Councillors on the committee decided to suspend Mr Rashid's licence for 2 weeks. Councillor Sean Ferguson, SNP, who was chairing the committee, asked why the driver didn't put the meter on and just charged him from that point onwards if it was a genuine mistake. Enforcement officers received a complaint that Mr Rashid had contravened a licence condition which requires a taxi driver to ensure that a taxi meter fitted in the taxi shall be operated at all times within the licensed area. The couple, who got in his taxi at Queen Street Station, said they were told that the meter was broken when they noticed it was off. The committee heard they were told they would pay by the mile. They questioned why we were going another way from what we said and he didn't respond, councillors were told. We then asked to get out of the taxi and he became aggressive and said you must pay £6. One of the complaints said when the couple refused to pay, the driver threatened to call the police. They agreed as they believed he was trying to scare us into paying. He then unlocked the doors and said we could leave. In an interview with enforcement officers, Mr Rashid said one of the passengers became angry and questioned the route he had taken. He said it was due to road closure. He also said he had forgotten to put the meter on and the couple asked it to stop the journey. Councillors were told the driver said, I mentioned I wanted a minimum of £6 charge for the hire, but they argued saying they wouldn't pay it. I decided it wasn't worth it and didn't take any payments for this hire. I'm sorry for forgetting to put the meter on. At the licensing committee meeting, his son, speaking on Mr Rashid's behalf, said, once the passengers realised he forgot to turn on his meter, the passenger became aggressive and he told him to get out of his car. That report was written by Drew Sandilands and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 7th of March 2026, from the news section, Glasgow University tribute to Professor killed in Namibia plane crash. Report by Donald Erskine. The University of Glasgow has led tributes to a Scottish professor killed in a plane crash in Namibia. Professor Alan Wilson, 62, died on Wednesday, March the 4th during a research flight, which also claimed the life of 63-year-old pilot Neil Oakman. The light aircraft they were travelling in crashed shortly after takeoff in the Namib Desert. The pair had been in the African country for a week in the remote Gobabeb research station in the Namib Notkluft National Park, researching the oryx antelope. Professor Wilson studied veterinary science at Glasgow University and went on to work for the Royal Veterinary College, RVC. He also contributed his expertise to BBC wildlife documentaries, including Big Cats and The Secret Life of Cats. The University of Glasgow School of Biodiversity, One Health and Veterinary Medicine posted a tribute to the professor on social media. They said, "It is with great sadness that we heard the news that Professor Alan Wilson died on Wednesday, March the 4th in a light aircraft accident during a research flight in Namibia. Alan graduated from the University of Glasgow in 1987, having studied veterinary medicine and an intercalated BSc in physiology. He subsequently undertook a PhD in the anatomy department at Bristol University, where he studied the mechanical basis of tendon injury. Alan moved to the Royal Veterinary College in 1996, where he held the post of Professor of Locomotor Biomechanics and Head of the Structure and Motion Laboratory. Alan's research focused on the anatomical, mechanical and physiological limits to locomotor performance in species ranging from humans and racehorses to cheetahs and wildebeest. He pioneered novel GPS and motion tracking technologies for studying wild animals in their natural environment. His work is featured in a number of BBC wildlife documentaries, including The Secret Life of the Cat and Big Cats. He returned to his alma mater in 2019 to deliver the Vipers Lecture, From Sprinting Cheetah to Walking Wildebeest, Studies of Locomotion and Physiology in Africa. Our thoughts are with Anna and the rest of the family, as well as his colleagues and friends. The RVC, where Professor Wilson was the head of Structure and Motion Laboratory, also posted a tribute. They said, "We are deeply saddened by the death of Professor Alan Wilson, FRS. A member of the Royal Veterinary College community for more than 30 years, Alan was a world-leading researcher in biomechanics, whose work transformed our understanding of locomotion in animals and humans. This is an enormous loss, and one that will be felt by all who had the privilege of knowing and working with him. Our thoughts are with Alan's family, friends and colleagues at this difficult time." The Royal Society, the UK's independent scientific academy, also paid tribute to the outstanding professor. They said, "It is with great sadness that we at the Royal Society learned of the tragic passing of Professor Alan Wilson, FRS. Professor Wilson was an outstanding scientist who made an exceptional contribution to the field of locomotor biomechanics. Alan was a passionate science communicator and a valued contributor to the Royal Society's public engagement activities. Our thoughts are with Alan's friends, family and colleagues." That report was written by Donald Erskine and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 8th of March 2026, news. Huge Glasgow Central Station fire causes travel chaos. Article written by Gabriel Mackay. A huge fire near to Glasgow Central is causing travel chaos, with all ScotRail services cancelled and traffic backed up in the city centre. A premises on Union Street in the city caught fire on Sunday afternoon, with the blaze spreading to upper floors. Due to their proximity to Central Station, ScotRail announced that no services would run to or from the transport hub until at least Monday morning. Lower level services may run through the station without passengers being able to board, and there are no services in or out of the higher levels. A statement said, Scottish Fire and Rescue are dealing with a fire in a building near Glasgow Central and the station has had to close. Customers should make their own travel arrangements as we cannot guarantee that you'll be able to complete your journey. The Volco Grand Central Hotel was evacuated on Sunday evening as firefighters battled to control the blaze. Eyewitnesses described queues of traffic outside of the station, with traffic backed up on St Vincent Street and streets around the station closed. Network Rail said, due to a fire on Union Street, train services from Glasgow Central Station are suspended. The station will remain closed tomorrow morning. If you are expecting to travel tonight or first thing tomorrow, please check with your train operator first. Buses were also unable to operate on the streets surrounding the station, with disruption expected to last until the end of Sunday. A Scottish Fire and Rescue Service spokesperson said, more than 60 firefighters are currently working to tackle a large building fire on Union Street, Glasgow. We were alerted at 3:46 p.m. on Sunday the 8th of March to reports of a fire affecting the ground floor of a 4-storey commercial building. At its height, 12 fire appliances and 3 high-reach vehicles were mobilised to the area, where firefighters are currently working to extinguish the fire. There are no reported casualties and crews remain at the scene. That article was written by Gabriel Mackay and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 8th of March 2026, from the news section, man rushed to hospital after stabbing in Glasgow's Toll Cross. An article written by Nicole Mitchell. A man has been rushed to hospital following a stabbing in the city's East End. Emergency services were called to Quarry Bray Street in the Toll Cross area at around 1 a.m. following a report of a man being seriously assaulted. It's understood he was stabbed. The 29-year-old was rushed to hospital for treatment. His condition is not known. An investigation into the incident is ongoing. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, around 1 a.m. on Saturday, March the 7th, we received a report of the serious assault of a 29-year-old man on Quarry Bray Street, Glasgow. Emergency services attended and he was taken to hospital for treatment. Inquiries are ongoing. That article was written by Nicole Mitchell and read and recorded by Ian.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 9th of March. Business owners demand action to save the lochs in Easterhouse. An exclusive article written by Amanda Keenan. Furious business owners are demanding answers over the future of a lifeline Glasgow shopping centre that has been the heartbeat of its community for the last 50 years. The future of the lochs in Easterhouse is hanging in the balance amid claims that spiralling rates and a lack of investment are responsible for low occupancy that have cast doubt over its survival. Sammy Goodwin, whose family has run Wee Betty's Cafe there for the last 8 years, says that people are dismayed at being left in limbo. She says that business owners within the centre feel let down by City Property, who they hold partly responsible for its decline. She exclusively told the Glasgow Times, "We've been told that the centre will shut at some point, but we have no idea when that will be. We're completely in the dark, despite repeatedly asking for clarity on the situation. It's heartbreaking because we still have 2 years left on our lease, and we have a successful venture that's right in the heart of the community." Sammy says that their cafe is much more than a business. It's somewhere that offers support and comfort to many in the area. She explained, "Many of our customers are elderly or widowed and come here to get out of the house and socialise. We put on entertainment on Saturday nights and even run them home afterwards. We're like one big family, and I honestly don't know what they would do if we were forced to close. It doesn't bear thinking about because some people who come through our doors don't have any family. Coming to Wee Betty's for a cup of tea and a chat means the world to them. It helps combat social isolation and loneliness that many would face if we weren't here." Sammy, who is from Easterhouse, says that the lochs needs better maintenance and a reduction in rates to attract more people to take on empty units. The centre was acquired by City Property in 2016. The Greater Easterhouse Strategic Development Framework found that the mall required significant repair and refurbishment to modernise, but high levels of vacant units meant that there wasn't enough rental income to pay for the necessary works. Sammy added, "We used to have little markets in the middle of the centre, but costs and a lack of investment meant that all that stopped. There doesn't seem to be any real desire by City Property to invest and try to turn things around. We have the footfall coming into our cafe, and neighbouring owners also want to help to see the centre succeed, but we can't do it on our own." Betty Connolly says the loss of the shopping centre would deliver a hammer blow to the community and leave many pensioners like her isolated. The 79-year-old, who visits Wee Betty's 3 times a week, said, "When I first started coming here, I didn't know anyone. I felt quite lonely and was sitting in the house a lot. Very quickly, I got to know the lovely staff and started making lots of friends. Sammy and the team go out of their way to make sure that everyone is always well looked after. It's like having a second family. If the centre shuts, I don't know what I will do." GMB convener Chris Mitchell is backing calls to save the centre and has urged City Property to be transparent about its future. He said, "I grew up in Easterhouse and would come to the lochs every Saturday with my family. It's been front and centre of this community for over 50 years, and it's a much-loved and needed resource. If anything, the need for the social interaction it offers is greater than ever. To hear that its future is hanging in the balance is both worrying and incredibly sad. I would urge City Property to do the right thing and invest in it and make it more attractive to new businesses. It's time for some honesty about how they see its future." A spokesperson for City Property Glasgow said that they are keen to work with existing tenants. They added, "Trading conditions across the retail sector continue to be challenging, and we fully appreciate that our tenants at the lochs and also in the wider community are affected and concerned about this. As part of our investments in recent years, new doors and over-door heaters have been installed to minimise heat loss. City Property Glasgow will continue to review issues raised by our tenants and will aim to offer solutions where feasible. Our agents continue to market the available units and are offering flexible terms with the aim of stabilising vacancy rates." An exclusive article written by Amanda Keenan. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 9th of March. Famed naturalist and television presenter backs a bill to ban greyhound racing in Scotland. An article written by Josh Pitsuto-Pomako. Renowned naturalist Chris Packham has backed legislation which would ban greyhound racing in Scotland. Scottish Green MSP Mark Ruskell's Greyhound Racing Offences Scotland Bill is expected to be debated on Thursday, the 12th of March. Mr Packham said that a ban on the practice would be a tremendous result for animal welfare, for dogs and for Scotland. The award-winning photographer and television presenter added, "Times need to change, and leaving animal cruelty in the past is an imperative. Greyhound racing, with all of its associated misery, has no place in 21st century Britain. Wales and England must follow this lead. Hats off to Mark Ruskell and all those who have got us to this point." Mr Ruskell said that he was delighted to receive Mr Packham's support for the legislation. He added, "Greyhounds are wonderful animals and should not be forced to run at such speed and at so much risk of injury or death. Every greyhound deserves a happy and healthy life. With the support of Chris and so many people across Scotland, we can finally end this cruel gambling-led sport for good." In September, Mr Ruskell's bill was endorsed by the Scottish Government, a key step towards enacting the racing ban. At the time, he said that there was no safe way to force dogs to run around a curved track at 40 miles an hour. However, a spokesperson for the Greyhound Board of Great Britain said, "There is currently no licensed greyhound racing in Scotland. The people of Scotland will be totally bemused that the SNP government and the Green Party are looking to waste parliamentary time in the run-up to the election, banning something that doesn't take place here when there are so many other issues that deserve and require legislation. The last greyhound racetrack in Scotland, Thornton Stadium in Kirkcaldy, closed in March of 2025 and it has not reopened. An article written by Josh Pizzuto-Pomako. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 9th of March. Glasgow Central Station services are suspended after the Union Street blaze. A front-page article written by Morgan Carmichael. All services to and from Glasgow Central Station will be suspended today following the devastating blaze on Union Street. 999 crews remain on the scene this morning after the fire service was alerted to flames allegedly coming from a vape shop on the city centre street at around 3:46 p.m. yesterday afternoon. At its height, 15 fire appliances were sent to the scene as 56 firefighters worked to battle the blaze. Network Rail has today confirmed that the station will remain closed until further notice. Police told the Glasgow Times this morning that the station was subject to smoke damage. Just after midnight, Network Rail released a statement on its website saying, Glasgow Central Station remains closed until further notice and will not reopen on Monday morning, following a fire in a building on Union Street on Sunday. The fire is now under control, but emergency services, including Police Scotland and the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, remain on site as they continue to manage the incident. All services to Glasgow Central remain suspended, and passengers are advised to seek alternative travel arrangements. We will continue to provide further updates as soon as more information becomes available. Meanwhile, ScotRail took to X today to tell customers to keep up with their app, especially if their services have been impacted. As well as the station, roads and alleyways in the surrounding area remain closed off by police today, and there is still a large police and fire presence. Pictures taken by the Glasgow Times team shows that a huge plume of smoke remains in the area and water is still being poured from high-reach appliances onto the building. The building next to Central Station fully collapsed last night, destroying several businesses, including Sexy Coffee. The latest information from the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service says the response to the commercial building fire on Union Street in Glasgow has now been reduced, with 9 fire appliances and 3 high-reach vehicles remaining at the scene. Members of the public are still advised to avoid the area where possible, and nearby residents should keep windows closed as a precaution. We were alerted at 3:46 p.m. on Sunday to reports of a fire affecting the ground floor of a 4-storey commercial building on Union Street. At its height, 18 appliances and specialist resources were mobilised. The incident has since been scaled back, and 9 appliances, including 3 high-reach vehicles, remain in attendance. There are no reported casualties. A front-page article written by Morgan Carmichael. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 9th of March. Police say that the Ibrox pitch invaders were armed with items to cause harm. An article written by Josh Pizzuto-Pomako. The shameful behaviour of supporters who rushed the pitch at Ibrox following the Scottish Cup quarter-final has been slammed by Police Scotland. Chief Superintendent Kate Stephen said that a number of arrests had been made and pledged to continue investigations alongside the Scottish FA and both clubs. Superintendent Stephen said that officers and members of the public were injured by supporters armed with items clearly intended to cause harm during the despicable display. She said the behaviour of a number of supporters at the Scottish Cup quarter-final between Rangers and Celtic at Ibrox today was shameful. It must be condemned by everyone involved in football and in wider society. A number of arrests have already been made, and Police Scotland will now work with both clubs and the Scottish Football Association to carry out a robust investigation following the scenes on the pitch at the conclusion of the match. Celtic supporters rushed the pitch after their side won the match on penalties and were quickly followed by Rangers supporters. Police battled for some time to keep the sides apart and to clear the pitch. Superintendent Stephen added, officers and stewards were faced with extreme hostility and violence over a sustained period, with many individuals having armed themselves with items clearly intended to cause harm. Officers and members of the public have been injured in this despicable display, and I want to express my thanks to all the officers and staff deployed. One image viewed by the Herald newspaper appears to show a man bleeding from his head and being attended to by emergency services. Several stewards also required medical assistance. Superintendent Stephen added, the investigation will also include the actions of some supporters who entered the Broomloan Road stand without tickets before the match started, forcing delays in the security operation and the turnstiles to be closed for a period of time. I would also urge anyone with information about who was involved in disorder before, during or after the match to get in touch with Police Scotland. An article written by Josh Pitsuto-Pomako. Glasgow Times on Monday the 9th of March. Lifestyle. James McAvoy hails the city for its part in a new film. An exclusive article written by Ava White. James McAvoy says it was really humbling to stand on stage and direct a crowd of 2,000 people at Glasgow's Barrowland Ballroom as part of his latest film, California Scheming. The Drumchapel-born star is preparing to close this year's Glasgow Film Festival with a comedy and music film, his directorial debut. The movie is based on the outrageous true story of Dundee rappers Gavin Bain and Billy Boyd, also known as Silly Bill and Brains, who posed as Californian hip-hop artists in the early 2000s to secure a record deal. Ahead of its UK premiere yesterday, our reporter caught up with James to find out just how he and his team managed to pull off the incredible feat of spontaneously bringing thousands of people together in the city. The 46-year-old said, there was a lot of planning, forethought and social media interaction involved in making that happen. We had an amazing team who put on an actual gig for people to come and enjoy themselves, and then also saying at the end, we're going to have our guys come on and do their bit. We thought that maybe the audience would stay, but they don't have to. They could just start withering away and say, well, we've had our free gig. But they stayed and gave it full welly. The Glasgow crowd was incredible. It was really humbling, actually standing on stage directing 2,000 people and thanking them for doing it. I said it at the time, I've worked all over the world and I've been really lucky to do that. I love that. But I just don't know if there's anywhere else we could have got that kind of response. I've never been in a film with that many extras. I think somebody told me that it would cost about £350,000 to get that many, and we couldn't afford that with our budget. So to be able to rely on the goodwill of an entire city's gig-going public, we are very fortunate and massively grateful. Laughing, James added that he was so glad that a staple of the Glasgow music scene, the crowd chanting, "Here we go," features in the film. Scenes for California Scheming were shot in a variety of locations across the city, including Mary Hill, Park Circus, Glasgow Green and the Barras Market. This was despite the story taking place in Dundee and in London. James hailed the city as playing a massive part in making the film possible. He commented, "It's set in Dundee and in London. None of it takes place in Glasgow except for the Barrowlands bit at the end. But we shot predominantly here because this was where the Scottish crews are. So, for our budget, we had to shoot in Glasgow. Glasgow is a massive, massive part of why this film works, so to get to premiere it at the Glasgow Film Festival feels right." The cast of California Scheming features an incredible lineup of talented Scottish actors, including Seamus MacLean-Ross as Gavin Bain, Samuel Bottomley as Billy Boyd, Lucy Halliday as Mary, and of course James McAvoy himself as Anthony. James revealed that throughout the process of putting it together, he had support from director John S. Baird, who directed him in Filth. The Scottish filmmaker helped to watch the movie back during editing and praised Paisley-born actress Lucy Halliday as being Mr. McAvoy's secret weapon. James added, "She was amazing. John, who directed me in Filth and is directing me at the moment in Meantime, was really helpful, and he watched it a lot for me when we were editing. He gave me some good advice, but he said to me, "She's your secret weapon in this film." Speaking to the Glasgow Times, Scottish BAFTA winner Lucy explained that she felt very excited to get to take on the role of Mary, who is Billy's partner. She said, "I was incredibly lucky because the real Mary was so open to talking with me and sharing her experience of that time. It's quite a stark contrast to what the boys will tell you it was like. I felt very excited getting to play her because she is this really tough character. She knew what she wanted and what she was thinking." James added, "We had two big characters in the boys. They were big energy, and in the script writing process for a character like Mary, she's not as performative as them, but she has so much of a presence. Finding an actor who would actually be able to stand up to the performance of these two was really important. But the first time I saw Lucy's audition tape, I said to myself, it's got to be her. I'm so grateful to Lucy." Ahead of stepping into the role of director for the first time, Mr. McAvoy noted that he felt it was important to tell stories of people from working class backgrounds. He said, "I think every single part of society needs to see themselves represented in art, and unfortunately, certainly in film and on television, I don't think a vast amount of Scottish people are represented at all. It's important to do it in a way that's entertaining, and I think that's something that is really missing for working class people, certainly in film. So I'm really pleased that we're here to celebrate that and bring it to the public now." California Scheming will be available to watch in cinemas across the UK and in Ireland from the 10th of April. An exclusive article written by Ava White. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 9th of March. New workers to be recruited to help tackle flooding in Glasgow. An article written by Drew Sandilands. Extra workers will be recruited as part of efforts to tackle the causes of flooding in many of Glasgow's communities. Almost £3 million is being spent on improving gully cleaning and repairing drains across the city. The investment was announced in Glasgow City Council's budget for 2026 to 2027. Blocked drains, particularly during periods of heavy rain, have previously sparked calls for more preventative action. A council spokesman said that the funding will allow a more proactive approach. A gully is a drain cover, frame and pot which collects road surface water. There are around 75,000 road gullies across Glasgow, which are cleaned by the council on a risk and cyclic basis. Whilst the number of new staff is currently unknown, the council intends to invest £1.4 million in tripling the service for gully cleaning on priority neighbourhood and arterial routes in the city. There's also a plan to spend £500,000 on 2 new gully wagons and £1 million on a drain repair scheme, which will see additional gullies and replacement of broken pipes or gully pots. Budget papers stated that this would address root causes of flooding. A council spokesman said, "This additional funding will allow us to increase our proactive gully cleaning programme within the city's neighbourhoods. The investment will also cover the purchase of new fleet, recruitment of additional staff, and the increasing costs for waste disposal. A more proactive approach will allow issues in the gully network to be identified more quickly for repair or replacement, if necessary. We'll take a risk-based approach to our gully programme so that we prioritise the most significant issues for repair." During his budget speech, City Treasurer Ricky Bell of the SNP said, "We are investing £3 million in both revenue and capital to triple the number of gully cleaning cycles and to carry out drain repairs, tackling the causes of flooding in many communities." He added, "We are maintaining and increasing the £7 million invested last year in frontline neighbourhood services. And we're investing in additional neighbourhood clean teams, 2 more per sector, which will ensure quick responses when issues emerge. I know the difference that this has made in my own ward, and residents across Glasgow are seeing similar improvements." 6 new neighbourhood clean teams are expected to be created, costing £715,000. An article written by Drew Sandilands. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 9th of March. Strathclyde University staff to strike at graduations over job cuts. An article written by Josh Pitsuto-Pomoko. Staff at Strathclyde University in Glasgow will strike during spring graduation ceremonies later this month over plans to cut 76 jobs at the research institution. The University and College Union, or UCU, and the Unite Union informed the university that their members would participate in industrial action in mid-March. UCU members will strike on the 17th and 18th of March, while Unite members will take action between the 16th and the 20th of March. Strathclyde University bosses previously said that up to 76 jobs could be axed in a bid to save £35 million over the next 2 years. A UCU source said, "We will hold public demonstrations outside the graduation ceremonies and we'll highlight the impact that these cuts will have on learning at Strathclyde. It's not a picket and we certainly will not be discouraging graduates and family from attending. Far from it. We hope to make it a carnival atmosphere whilst lamenting the slow demise of education." It's understood that a marking and assessment boycott could be called if management does not move to protect jobs currently at risk. The decision to strike comes 3 weeks after 80% of UCU members voted to back strike action on a turnout of 58%. Some 87% also said that they would be willing to take part in action short of a strike, which can include refusing to undertake voluntary activities, cover for absent colleagues, or mark exam papers. There have also been concerns that university management failed to follow its own governance rules, as reported in early February. Under the university statutes, decisions to institute redundancy must involve the court, the institution's governing body. However, papers released via Freedom of Information legislation appear to show that the court had not formally approved any academic job losses and that a subgroup of the executive team was deciding on each submitted transformation proposal. The university has been approached for comment. An article written by Josh Pitsuto-Pomoko.
From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 10th of March 2026, from the Lifestyle section. 48 Glasgow homes to be built on site of former Hag Hill Primary School, and this article was written by Amy Miles. Work has begun on over 40 new homes being built on the site of a former Glasgow primary school. The Milnebank Housing Association development is taking shape on the grounds of the old Hag Hill Primary School and is being delivered in partnership with the JR Group. It will deliver 48 energy-efficient homes for social rent, including 43 general needs properties, 4 wheelchair-accessible amenity properties and the renovation of the former janitor's house. Construction has commenced and is expected to be completed by November 2027. Alan Scott, chairman of Milnebank Housing Association, said, "We are delighted to see this development finally begin on the former Hag Hill Primary School site. These homes will help address significant housing supply issues in the local area and will help meet a wide range of housing needs." The £12.4 million project is being funded through a mix of private finance and public investment, with support from Glasgow City Council and the Scottish Government. It forms part of the Housing Association's wider investment programme to increase housing supply and raise living standards in the communities it serves. Councillor Rory Kelly, convener for Housing and Development at Glasgow City Council, said, "The development of the site at the former Hag Hill Primary is another great example of the homes that are being built in Glasgow now. The homes will meet the needs of a wide range of people and families and bring back the janitor's house to productive use. These much needed and high quality new homes for social rent will improve the quality of life of everyone who lives in them and will contribute to the regeneration of Hag Hill. As well as providing much-needed social housing, the project will deliver wider community benefits, including improvements to the local environment and investment in a local community facility. Gary McGregor, Managing Director of the RG Group, said, "We are delighted to have been awarded this project and for the trust the Housing Association have bestowed on our fantastic team. We are acutely aware of the importance of this project for the community and local residents, and we look forward to a successful partnership. The association works closely with tenants, residents and partner organisations to deliver sustainable community-driven schemes. The new homes will be built to modern standards with a strong focus on energy efficiency, accessibility and quality of living." We reported in 2021 that the historic school site was to be sold off by Glasgow City Council for affordable housing. Plans were revealed for the B-listed Hag Hill Primary School and Schoolhouse in Denniston to be purchased by Milnebank Housing Association. Demolition work began in October the same year as workmen were seen carefully taking apart the red sandstone building on Marwick Street brick by brick. Our photographer captured images of each part of the former primary school being numbered individually. And that article was by Amy Miles. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 10th of March 2026, from the Lifestyle section. Glaswegians urged to apply for Aldi Scotland pie tester role. And this article was written by Beth Oliver. Aldi Scotland is inviting Glasgow pie lovers to apply for an official tester position. Following the huge success of last year's search, the supermarket chain is searching for its next official pie tester for 2026, calling on passionate fans to apply for the title. The role offers one lucky winner the chance to sample and review Aldi Scotland's newest limited edition pie range. Last year, Falkirk teacher Stuart McNeill was named Aldi Scotland's first ever pie tester. Reflecting on the role, Stuart said, "It was an absolute joy. From the very first bite, it was truly a fulfilling role. As an avid pie lover, the chance to try and test a full range of delightful pies was a true slice of heaven. The range completely blew me away, with my top picks being the salt and chilli chicken curry and chicken chasney pies. If you're ready to step up to the plate, just do it. It's a cracking experience and one you'll never forget." This year's selected tester will evaluate each pie for crust quality, filling consistency, flavour balance and overall harmony of ingredients. Their reviews and insights will be shared with customers and will also help inform future pie development at Aldi Scotland. The winner will also receive a year's worth of free pies as a thank you. Alan Leslie, buying director at Aldi Scotland, said, "After the fantastic response to last year's search, the decision to bring back the position for another year was, as the saying goes, as easy as pie. At Aldi Scotland, we take our pies very seriously. Our 2026 pie tester will once again have the enviable task of tasting and reviewing the range to help us understand which flavours really hit the spot. If you're passionate about pastry and serious about sampling, we want to hear from you. Our range has been carefully crafted to appeal to Scotland's love of pies, combining high-quality baking with much-loved Scottish-inspired flavours. No previous pie tasting experience required. To apply, candidates must submit a brief summary explaining why they're the perfect fit for the role. More information and application details are available at www.aldi.co.uk/Scotland/pie tester. The deadline for entries is Friday, March the 27th. And that article was written by Beth Oliver. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 10th of March 2026, from the news section. Glasgow dealer caught with £80,000 of cocaine at McDonald's drive-through, and this article was written by Grant McCabe. A drug trafficker was caught in his van at a McDonald's drive-through, a court heard. William Strang of Provenmill was snared at the fast food restaurant at the Showcase Leisure Centre in Coatbridge, Lanarkshire on October the 9th, 2024. Prosecutor James Irvine told the High Court in Glasgow on Monday how a taped package went on to be discovered under the passenger seat of his Mercedes Sprinter. It was found to be a haul of cocaine with a purity of up to 77%. Mr. Irvine stated the Class A drugs had a potential value of £80,160. A property linked to him in Uddingston was searched as well. Officers seized £4,470 in a zip-sealed bag. They also found scales and a stash of polythene bags, often used for drugs. Strang pleaded guilty to being concerned in the supply of cocaine. Graham Brown, defending, said Strange did not have a proprietary interest in the drugs and cash discovered by police. Strang had been on bail but was remanded in custody by Judge Douglas Brown as sentencing was adjourned until next month. And that article was by Grant McCabe. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 10th of March 2026, from the news section. Glasgow devastated by vape shop fire near Central Station, and this article was written by Donald Erskine. More than 250 heroic firefighters battled a blaze in Glasgow for nearly 24 hours as a historic building was reduced to rubble. Water was pumped from the River Clyde to tackle the fire well into March the 9th, and people rallied around the businesses which had been devastated. Thankfully, no injuries to the public or any emergency service workers have been reported. Scotland's busiest railway station, Glasgow Central, will remain closed until further notice, and as First Minister John Swinney visited the fire-ravaged scene, questions are being raised about the cause of the fire and what comes next. Swinney paid tribute to the emergency services during the visit and confirmed that the Scottish Government will support the Council with the recovery and significant costs as the impact of the fire becomes clearer. The B-listed Union Corner sat at number 101 to 115 Union Street at its junction with Gordon Street and predated the station, which was built in 1879. The Scottish Fire and Rescue Services, SFRS, Assistant Chief David Farris, confirmed that at the height of the blaze, 18 fire engines and specialist resources attended the scene. He told the media that the cause of the fire, believed to have begun in a vape shop, will be investigated by a multi-agency team to understand the nature and cause of the fire and why it spread the way it did. Farris refuted claims that SFRS's response hadn't been adequate after the initial fire, which they responded to at 3:46 p.m. on Sunday, was deemed under control before developing into the inferno it became. Owner of Anjali's boutique, Angie, was in her studio in the building when the fire started and spoke to the Glasgow Times at the scene. She said, "It's absolutely devastating. My whole life has been changed overnight. Everything's been lost. I was with a customer at the time and we heard a loud bang. I thought it was a car crash at first. I left at 5/6 p.m. because they said they had it under control. Then I got a call a few hours later to say the whole building was on fire. I came back and could only watch as my livelihood was destroyed. I'd been in the building since 2018, and to see everything disappear overnight, I just can't put it into words. The building was full of small businesses, and we're all now unsure of what the future looks like. Multiple fundraisers have been set up to support the affected businesses, which at the time of writing have raised over £100,000. Glasgow City Council leader Susan Aitken spoke to the Glasgow Times at the scene and said she was devastated by the scar that had been left in the heart of the city. She said, "Glasgow Central is absolutely central to the economic, social and cultural life of not just the city but Scotland." Aitken also praised everyone involved in dealing with the fire and then quizzed on tighter regulations around lithium-ion batteries amid suggestions that the vape shop's high volume of devices containing them contributed to the fire, said that was a separate conversation. "We know that batteries are a fire risk, and if they are not disposed of properly, they can be really dangerous," she said, before adding that the investigations into the fire will need to be concluded before lessons can be drawn. With a momentous year ahead in the city, including the Commonwealth Games, Aitken said, "It's far too early right now to talk about timescales," while admitting that the resulting works will be incredibly complex, really challenging, and really expensive. Major disruption is expected for anyone travelling into the city until at least Wednesday, as all services to and from Glasgow Central are currently suspended. Network Rail's route director Ross Moran said the timescales would depend on staff gaining access once the site is deemed safe. With Union Corner's Gordon Street facade still standing, its structural integrity must be assessed before any plans can be made, but it will probably need to be removed, admitted Moran. He added, "We'll overcome this, we'll get beyond it, but it is a travesty. It is absolutely devastating. Everyone who loves Glasgow knows this station is a cathedral of the railway." Network Rail couldn't confirm if the station's famous glass roof has sustained any damage, but pictures taken by our photographer Gordon Terrace appeared to show it intact. Passers-by said they were devastated when we spoke to them, and one mourned the Blue Lagoon Chippy, one of the many businesses which have been claimed by the fire. "I was in there on Saturday. I didn't realise it would be my last time," he said glumly. The smoke may be starting to clear, but it has revealed the true scale of the damage left behind by the fire. Repairing the scar will take some time, as the true extent of the impact the Union Street fire of March 2026 has had on this integral part of Glasgow. And this article was written by Donald Erskine. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 10th of March 2026, from the news section. Man arrested over death of Jordan Gray in Motherwell, and this article was written by Aidan Maxwell. A man has been arrested in connection with the death of Jordan Gray in Motherwell. Jordan, 26, suffered fatal firearm wounds within his home in Shields Court shortly after 10:30 p.m. on Sunday, December the 14th, 2025. His body was discovered at around 4:30 p.m. the following day when officers were called to a flat in the area. Police confirmed the death was being treated as murder following a post-mortem examination which established that Jordan's injuries were consistent with being shot by a firearm. On Tuesday, March the 10th, 2026, officers executed warrants in the Muirhouse Road area of Motherwell at around 6:45 a.m. A 58-year-old man has since been arrested in connection with the investigation. We previously reported that John Lindsay, who's Jordan's father, said, "Jordan was a loving and doting father and son." His mother, Lynn Gray, and Michael Groom said, "We as a family are devastated at the loss of Jordan. We would appreciate some privacy and time to grieve." A GoFundMe was also launched after Jordan's death in order to help his family navigate their grief in the days leading up to Christmas. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "A 58-year-old man has been arrested in connection with the death of Jordan Gray in Motherwell. Officers executed warrants in the Muirhouse Road area of Motherwell around 6:45 a.m. on Tuesday, March the 10th, 2026. Inquiries remain ongoing. Jordan, aged 26, suffered fatal firearm wounds within his home in Shields Court in Motherwell shortly after 10:30 p.m. on Sunday, December the 14th, 2025. And that article was by Aidan Maxwell, read by me, Caroline. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 10th of March, 2026, from the news section. Police ban drones at Glasgow Central Union Street vape shop fire. And this article was written by Amy Miles. Drones have been banned from flying over Union Street as the emergency response to Sunday's devastating blaze continues. Police Scotland has issued a warning to drone pilots and operators planning to fly near Glasgow Central Station and the collapsed building, stressing that unmanned aircraft must stay out of the area until 12 p.m. on Friday, March the 13th, 2026. Officers have warned pilots that it is an offence to fly over an ongoing emergency response. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "Due to the ongoing emergency response in the area surrounding the building fire on Union Street in Glasgow, unmanned aircraft should not be flown close to or within the airspace until 12 p.m. on Friday, March the 13th, 2026. Drone pilots and operators are reminded it is an offence to fly over an ongoing emergency response and are encouraged to check NOTAM, NOTAM information and drone safety map before flying." Following the fire, Glasgow Central Station remains closed, with Network Rail saying it is too early to say when it will reopen. Engineers must first assess the damage once the emergency response moves into the recovery phase, meaning the station is very unlikely to open today or Tuesday. ScotRail has apologised for the disruption, with all high-level services still suspended and low-level trains only running through the station, with passengers instead using Anderston and Argyll Street. And that article was by Beth Oliver. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 10th of March, 2026, from the news section. 2 Glasgow landmarks to light up for FND Awareness Day. And this article was written by Beth Oliver. 2 major Glasgow landmarks will be lit up to raise awareness of a little-known neurological condition. The Glasgow Science Centre will take part in Shine a Light on FND Day by lighting up its building on Tuesday, March the 24th from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. The centre will be illuminated to raise awareness of functional neurological disorder, FND, a condition affecting the nervous system that is often misunderstood. Following this, on Wednesday, March the 25th, the south front of the Gilbert Scott building at the University of Glasgow will also be illuminated. The public is encouraged to take photos of the lit up buildings and share them on social media using the hashtag #FNDAware to help spread the message. A representative from Glasgow Science Centre said, FND is a complex and often overlooked condition that can significantly impact individuals' lives. We are proud to join the movement to raise awareness and support those affected by FND. We encourage everyone to get involved, sharing their support and help shine a light on this important cause. Representatives from the University of Glasgow also emphasised the importance of community involvement and education in understanding FND. The illuminations are part of wider efforts across the UK to support FND Awareness Day and improve public knowledge of the disorder. And that article was written by Beth Oliver.
This is from the Glasgow Times on the 11th of March 2026 from the news section, and the headline reads, Cops recover 60k worth of drugs after major bust at Paisley property. This article is by Aidan MacDonald. Cops have seized around £60,000 worth of drugs after a major bust at a property in Paisley. Around 6:10am on Tuesday, March 10th, officers executed a warrant at a property on Wellmeadow Street. Diamorphine, cocaine and cannabis, estimated to be worth up to £60,000, was recovered. One man, aged 23, was arrested and charged in connection and is due to appear at Paisley Sheriff Court at a later date. Inspector Lorna McLaren said, Drugs cause misery in our community and we remain committed to disrupting their supply. We encourage anyone with information or concerns about drug-related activity in their area to contact Police Scotland on 101 or call Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111. This article was by Aidan MacDonald. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 11th of March 2026 from the news section, and the headline reads, Council secures 46.77 million funds for Bishop Briggs projects. This article is by Beth Oliver. A major investment is set to transform Bishop Briggs as part of a wider economic growth plan. Eastern Bartonshire Council has secured £46.77 million through its Place and Growth programme. The programme is supported by £31.96 million from the UK and Scottish governments through a Glasgow City Region City deal. As part of the funding, the two key projects in Bishop Briggs are set to get underway following approval of their full business cases by the Glasgow City Region Chief Executives Group. The approved projects include the Westerhill Development Road in Bishop Briggs, a 2-kilometre stretch of new and upgraded carriageway designed to unlock business sites, create jobs, improve transport links and ease congestion. Also planned is a new civic space in Bishop Briggs Town Centre, intended as a family-friendly hub for events, socialising and relaxation, supporting local businesses and contributing to wider regeneration. With the latest approvals, funding has now been released and contractors are being appointed. Preliminary construction work is set to begin this month, pending final planning and land arrangements. Councillor Gordon Lowe, leader of Eastern Bartonshire Council, said, I'm very pleased that full business cases for both projects have been given the green light. A massive amount of work has taken place to develop these city deal projects in Eastern Bartonshire, securing millions of pounds of external investment for the local economy. It has been a challenge to balance complex sites and proposals with long-held aspirations to rejuvenate the town centre, create jobs and investment opportunities, encourage active travel and reduce congestion. Well done to all. The Westerhill Development Road, previously known as Phase 5 of the Bishop Briggs Relief Road, is due for completion by the end of 2027, while the civic space is expected to open late 2026 or early 2027. A planning application for the road scheme was approved following extensive consultation. The road forms part of the Westerhill Regeneration Area Master Plan, which aims to unlock strategic business sites and reduce non-essential traffic in Bishop Briggs Town Centre. Eastern Bartonshire Council is continuing to seek external funding to support the delivery of the wider master plan and is liaising with landowners, businesses and agencies to attract investment and employers. The development road will feature 3 new roundabouts, extending from Lochgrog roundabout to Cross Hill Road, and an upgrade to Torrance roundabout on the A803 Kirkintilloch Road. In addition, an active travel route will be developed on the western side of the Wester Hill Development Road. Environmental measures include sustainable drainage, landscaping, planting, and wildlife passages. This article is by Beth Oliver. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 11th of March 2026, from the news section, and the headline reads, Missing Glasgow man Robert Anderson sparks police appeal. This article is by Aidan Maxwell. The family of a Glasgow man who has gone missing have issued an urgent appeal for information as police continue efforts to trace him. Robert Anderson, 60, was last seen around 4:40 p.m. on March 2nd, 2026, in the King Street area of Glasgow city centre, and was reported missing 2 days later. Concerns are growing as his disappearance is said to be out of character. Robert is described as white, around 5 feet 10 inches tall, of slim build with balding hair. He walks with a limp. When last seen, he was wearing grey joggers, a white t-shirt, a black jacket and white trainers. Inspector Laura Drovandi said, This is out of character for Robert to be out of contact with his family and friends for so long, and we want to make sure he's okay. If anyone remembers seeing a man matching Robert's description since Monday, March 2nd, please get in contact with police. And if Robert sees this, please get in touch with your family to let them know you're alright. Police are urging anyone who may have seen Robert or who has information that could assist officers in tracing him to come forward. Anyone with information is asked to contact 101, quoting reference 3180 of March 4th, 2026. This article was by Aidan Maxwell. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 11th of March 2026, from the news section, and the headline reads, Union Street vape shop was not registered on Scottish Government list. This article was by Andrew Learmonth. The shop where the devastating Union Street fire started does not appear on the Scottish Government's register of tobacco and vape retailers, which all vape sellers are required to by law to join. It is understood that the company running the premises at 105 Union Street was Junaid Retail Limited, trading as Scotsworld. According to Companies House, the director of the firm is Ahsan Ali. He has previously spoken about his grief at whatever has happened. He said, It's a hurtful and disappointing accident. Whatever it is that happened, it shouldn't be happening. I'm so upset and don't want to talk about it. Emergency services were called to the property at 105 Union Street on Sunday afternoon. Although they initially believed it had been contained, the blaze tore through a Victorian building on the corner of Union Street and Gordon Street, near Glasgow Central Station, hollowing out much of the structure. More than 200 firefighters tackled the flames, which caused the building's dome to partially collapse and left only its facade standing. An exclusion zone remains in place around the site, while emergency crews continue to deal with the aftermath. ScotRail has said disruption at Central Station is likely to continue for several days. The vape shop register is part of Scotland's statutory National Register of Tobacco and Nicotine Vapour Product Retailers, which has existed in some form since 2011 and was extended to cover vape retailers in 2017. Any retailer selling tobacco or nicotine vapour products in Scotland must register with the Scottish Government. Operating a nicotine vapour products business from unregistered premises is a specific offence under the Health, Tobacco, Nicotine, etc. and Care Scotland Act 2016, with possible fines of up to £20,000 and up to 6 months imprisonment. The fire has prompted calls for more regulation around vape shops. On Monday, First Minister John Swinney said the Scottish Government was open-minded about the possibility. Glasgow City Council leader Susan Aitken said that while it would be wrong to speculate about the cause of the fire before any investigation had concluded, a wider discussion about the safety of lithium batteries used in consumer electronics was necessary. I do think we need to have that conversation, she said. When we start to think about vape shops, we also have to think about mobile phone shops. We have to think about e-bikes, she said. All of us are using devices with these batteries in them every single day. However, she said, there may be a case for new rules around the storage and disposal of batteries once investigators have determined the cause of the fire. Yes, I do think we need to have consideration about the storage and location of batteries, she said. And we do need some legislation and regulation around that. Scottish Greens co-leader Gillian McKay said the law needed to be tougher than a register. The age of shops selling products containing lithium-ion batteries, facing fewer checks than a corner shop selling alcohol, must end. The Scottish Greens have been clear when it comes to vapes. The Scottish Government must introduce a robust licensing scheme that gives local councils the power to refuse licences, enforce safety standards, and take action against businesses that break the rules. UK Vaping Industry Association Director General John Dunn said that while the fire was an isolated incident, it was one too many. While we await the findings of the full investigation, we'll be proactively engaging with the fire service and relevant authorities to understand what lessons can be learned to help ensure the highest possible safety standards across vape retailers. We are also advising all of our members to check their fire risk assessments and to get in touch with their local fire authorities to seek any further guidance. The UK VIA has long advocated for a robust, fit-for-purpose licensing scheme for vape retailers, including provisions to ensure the highest possible safety and compliance standards, which is now being considered as part of the Tobacco and Vapes Bill. A Scottish Government spokesperson said, "As the First Minister said, there will clearly be public concern about the safety of these premises, and it's vital that we examine all of those issues with an open mind." The Scottish Government will do exactly that to determine whether there are safety issues that have to be addressed, and will consider these issues in open detail. All retailers in Scotland selling tobacco and or vapes must sign up to the mandatory register of tobacco and nicotine vapour product retailers. This is a legislative requirement under the Tobacco and Primary Medical Services Scotland Act 2010 and the Health, Tobacco, Nicotine, etc. and Care Scotland Act 2016. It would be inappropriate to comment further as an investigation is underway. This article is by Andrew Learmonth.
From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 11th of March 2026. Children at risk amid air pollution after Glasgow Union Street fire, by Amy Miles. Children are very much at risk after spike in dangerous particles caused by Glasgow's Union Street fire. An air pollution expert has warned that children are very much at risk after a spike in dangerous particles caused by Glasgow's Union Street fire. Emergency services responded to a blaze at a vape shop on Union Street at around 3:46 p.m. on Sunday. The fire quickly spread throughout the entire 19th century block, located on the corner of Gordon Street, resulting in enormous damage and the complete destruction of the building's dome. The Scottish Environment Protection Agency, SEPA, has been monitoring the situation closely, including the movement of smoke plumes. SCPA officers have been tracking plume patterns and visiting air quality sensitive areas such as Glasgow's Royal Infirmary in response to potential risks. According to STV, data collected during the incident showed a spike in tiny PM2.5 particles in the local air. These fine particles are known to cause serious health risks and can travel significant distances depending on prevailing wind patterns. More than 200 firefighters were involved in the response, with 18 fire engines and a specialist resource sent to the scene at the height of the fire. By 6:30 a.m. on Tuesday, 4 fire engines and 2 high-reach appliances were still on site. Firefighters continued to pour water over the shell of the building, and occasional billows of smoke could still be seen. Streets around the area remained cordoned off as emergency services continued to manage the aftermath of the blaze. Experts have raised concerns about the potential impact on public health due to the increase in hazardous air particles caused by the fire. Jill Belch, Professor of Vascular Medicine at Dundee University, has highlighted the dangers of PM2.5 exposure, especially for children. Professor Belch said PM2.5 particles are linked to cardiovascular disease, lung disease, asthma, COPD, and lung cancer, brain diseases such as stroke and dementia. She also emphasized that the particles can damage growing cells permanently, adding that children are very much at risk. Professor Belch told STV News, quote, "The issue with building fires is that it's not just the PM 2.5s that we have to worry about, though that is bad enough. But buildings have plastic, treated wood, antifungals often arsenic-based, wiring, and other building contents. This mixture gives rise not only to PMs, but also to volatile organic compounds, VOCs, aromatic hydrocarbons, acid gases, for example hydraulic acid, and toxic metals such as lead, a real cocktail of poisons. Depending on the wind, these particles travel far and wide, affecting the homes nearby. VOCs are toxic on their own, but in a city they also combine with traffic NO2 to form ozones, which is also toxic. In addition, if the firemen use foam, this contains PFAS, forever chemicals. So a burning building produces a very toxic mix of chemicals, and such a large fire has this affected air quality monitors some distance away in the high street." Unquote. In the aftermath, SCPA has confirmed that it's playing a key role in the multi-agency response to the incident. A spokesperson for SCPA said, quote, "Our monitoring of the local air quality monitoring stations in Glasgow have indicated that there has been no significant deterioration in air quality recorded. We will continue to liaise with all relevant patterns and ensure any potential impacts on the environment are minimised as much as possible." End quote. SCPA is also seeking chemical meteorology information from the Met Office to help further analyse conditions. The agency continues to provide technical and scientific advice to emergency services and is observing plume behaviour to assess the spread of pollution. This article was written by Amy Miles, as read by Libby Wilson.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service.